1936, Cleveland, Ohio, 5,000 people in an anti-war parade. Neat, huh? 5,000 people in a parade in 1936 protesting war. Pretty amazing, huh?
Which is what we're all about today, moving forward. And my name is Jennifer Kagiwara. I'm an activist. I'm a volunteer. 2017 was a tough year, a rough year. But we marched, and we resisted, and we persisted, and we found our power. And so in 2018, we will harness our collective power, and that's what this event is about. We want to harness our collective power, our wahine power. And with that power, we want to create transformative change for ourselves, for our families, and for our communities. And I know that's why each and every one of you is here today, and that's why I'm here as well. Now, this event is different than other events you may have been to. We have women leaders, we have environmental scientists, we have grassroots organizers, and we have Kanaka Maoli, and they all have something to share with us. But today is really about you, and that's what we want to do today. We are here to support you in turning your issues, your values, and your passions into action in the coming year. So all these booths out here are here to help you. You have your issues, you have your passions, you have your values, and we just want to help you find some way of turning that into action in 2018. So we're very excited that you're here. That said, I have asked two key Women's March leaders to come on stage briefly, take just a few minutes of your time, and tell their stories. Give you some background on the Women's March movement, okay? I know many of you were here last year. I was not here. I was in Washington, D.C. marching. But the first wahine to come out and talk story with all of us is someone who should need no introduction. Because of her, we are all here today. We all know there was a quiet, sometimes not so quiet, power emanating out of Hana Maui. And we are so thankful that she could be here with us today out of everywhere in the country to share her birth of a movement story with us. And without further ado, I'd like to present to all of you the founder of the Women's March movement, Teresa Shook.
Okay. Aloha, Hilo! Woo! Okay, so Jennifer asked me to share a little bit. I keep thinking everyone knows the origin story because I've told it so much. But some of you, I just was sitting with someone who didn't know it. So I'll briefly tell you what happened. I woke up after the election. I was not really happy. I was really unhappy. So I got on a chat, and there were women, and they were depressed, and they were sad, and they felt powerless, and they just kept talking about how horrible it was. And I thought, well, this won't do. We have to do something. I didn't want to sit around and feel powerless. So I started a Facebook event page. And I went back and I said, hear our voice. We won't be silent anymore. And we're going to stand up for a fair, just, and inclusive America. A fair, just, and inclusive world. Where there is equality for women, where there's equality for all people. So I said that in the Facebook post, and we're going to march on Washington, and we're going to march the day after the, inauguration, and we're going to say, welcome to your first day of office. And And so then after I made that event page, I went back on where I was chatting and I invited a few people. And I made it a private event because people warned me about trolls and it could get shut down. So I made it a private event. Friends could invite friends. I went to bed. There were maybe 70 people coming. I woke up the next day, over 20,000 people. And not only that, Facebook shut it down, so I really don't know how many people were really coming at that point because Facebook was so overloaded that no one could send out evites. So my message box was full, my friend request was full, people trying to get invitations. And so then for a millisecond, I thought maybe if I close the computer, it'll go away. Because it's like, okay, well, I have to get busy now. So I pulled some women in to help me get it started, and they pulled some women in who were connected, and fortunately, we did it. And we, in 2.5 months, we made the impossible possible. The largest march in recorded U.S. history. Over 5 million people around the world joined us. Then you made it a movement. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Mahalo, mahalo, mahalo for standing up with me that day, for continuing the work in whatever way you contribute. It helps the cause. Keep resisting. Keep standing up, do it in solidarity, and now 2018 is ours. We're going to march on the polls. We're going to bring our power to the polls. We're going to flip Congress. Woo!
All right. Our own Teresa Shook. After 12:30, Teresa will be over there by the selfie wall. If you want to get a photo with her, you can come by and get a photo with her. From a group that I love to hear. It's Harmony on Tap. And it's a bunch of cool women making hot music. They've been around for over 9 years, and they are fun. So listen up.
We are so happy to be here. We know that we are in a serious situation. We have been taught not to make light of serious situations. But if you don't make light, you're stuck in the dark and you don't know where to move forward. If you don't make light, you become too heavy to move. So we believe in making light in Harmony on Tap. And it is in the spirit of this making light that we offer you music today to make light and peace and strength. The Latin words that we'll be singing are just 3. Dona nobis pacem. We have a little bit of English as well. Dona nobis pacem means give us peace. When do we want it? Now. Thank you. Thank you. Harmony on tap. These amazing women. Peace. Here we go.
So, I promised you we weren't going to have a lot of speakers. I have one more speaker to bring up. Our second and final short talk story today will be with the immediate past chair of the Women's March for Hawaii, the state of Hawaii. I started working with Sherry last December, not this one, but the last one, and we worked on the phone and texting and on email. And we were working to prepare to fly across the country to DC to march. And I know what I thought at the time. I thought, here is a woman who gets stuff done. Sherry was arranging travel, inviting our senators to march with us, getting aloha for all signs made. She was doing everything. And when I finally met her in DC, I was not disappointed. Here to share her story of diving headfirst into the Women's March movement and getting stuff done is Sherry Campagna.
Aloha. So they told me to be brief, and I'll do my best. So for me, the Women's March story started in a place called Pantsuit Nation. Yeah? And it started just 2 days after Teresa put up that event page. And I saw the chatter, and I knew that this is something I had to do for us. I had to do it for me, and more specifically, I had to do it for my children. So I reached out to the national organizing team and I said, hey, I'm a member of the YWCA's Advocacy Committee. I'm a commissioner for the state of Hawaii on the State Commission on the Status of Women. I'm a hardcore feminist and a mom, and I want you to pick me to bring Hawaii to DC. And lo and behold, they did. And at the time, I thought it was going to be just 30 Ku'e women, 30 Mana Wahine and our allies, and we were going to march on that mall, and it was going to be amazing. What I quickly learned was that it was way more than 30. What I quickly learned was that no one wanted to be left behind, and they said, and they called me out, you get to go to DC because of your privilege, and I'm stuck here. What are you going to do for me? And so I reached out and I found more people. I found Kat Killam and I said, hey, can you help me in Hilo? I found Amelia Nordhoek and I said, hey, can you help me on Molokai? Lisa Ellen Smith stepped up and she took over Kauai, and a whole host of women did Maui and Oahu. And before long, we were a team of 200 volunteers. And collectively, here in the state of Hawaii, we pulled off the biggest public demonstration on record. Yeah? We did that, all of us together. And about that time, about 2 weeks out from the March on DC, that's about where my story almost ended. My father had a heart attack. And he was in a coma in Honolulu. And I told my sister friends, I can't go. There's 2 million women going to DC, and I only have this one papa. So I'm staying home. And Jennifer Kagiwara stepped up, and Amelia stepped up, and so many others stepped up, and they took on the burden of organizing that travel team, and those women would not be stopped. They went anyway. 200 women and their allies went to DC. Yeah? They planned to march in solidarity for all of us, and I was so proud of them. And then 2 days before the march happened, 2 days before you all happened here in Hilo, my dad woke up from his coma. And he looked at me and he said, kid, what the hell are you doing here? I said, Papa, there's 2 million going there and only one of you, I'm staying home. And he said, your mother and I raised you better than this. We didn't raise you to sit by the bed of a dying old man. We raised you to set things right. We raised you to fight broken systems. We raised you to march for justice. Get on that plane. 4 hours later, I was on a plane to DC to meet my sister friends. One day after that, I met all the people from Hawaii. We met in a pub called Stanton and Green, just a few blocks away from the mall. And we were joined by Senator Mazie Hirono. We were joined by Senator Schatz. Congresswoman Hanabusa had the flu, so she sent a representative, and we marched together. When we approached the mall with our black, red, and white signs saying Aloha for all, the crowds greeted us with cheers. They thanked us for coming all the way from Hawaii. They parted so that we could enter the mall, and the crowd's screams that rose up from the millions of advocates just like us gave us chicken skin. They screamed for us, and we screamed back. And do you want to hear the cheer that we screamed for you and for us that day? Do you want to do it with me? It's a call and a response. And it's Imua, rise up. Aloha for all. 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 Thank you so much for persisting. Thank you so much for resisting.
We do have the t-shirt sales like I'm wearing right here. If you want to get a t-shirt, there's also an online link if you want to order one online later. We do have Teresa Shook doing the selfie pictures next to that. But I want to introduce you to Kimberly Dark. Kimberly Dark is an award-winning writer, storyteller, and performer whose work has been enjoyed all over the world. She lives on the Big Island, and her writing gives a very personal voice to issues affecting women's lives. So please join me in welcoming Kimberly for a few stories this afternoon.
Oh, that made me cry, right? These folks. Take a deep breath with me, would you please? At Halema'oma'u crater, her eyes are red and hot. Imitate me, she speaks. Ho'opili mai. Make yourself big and fragrant and beautiful. Put flowers in your black hair. See, each time I visit her, she takes a piece of my flesh, and I grow new. Sometimes I think my foolish thoughts. I don't like to be spoiled by scratches, cuts, and bruises. Somehow, there seems a virtue in keeping nice. Pele reminds me that I am made to be torn down. My false pride to be gouged, blind, and washed away in the laughing tide. Pele and the sea make jokes of my protections, perfections, possessions of flesh. She reminds me that I heal, get new skin, become new, and that beauty is in the living. Thank you. It's okay to clap after a storm. Oh, the sea is just crashing out here. You know, when we're on the island, I like to start with that poem because I want to give thanks to Pele for allowing us to live on this beautiful Aina rather than swimming in a sea of fire. And also to acknowledge that we are living in a colonized place and we need to pay attention to that injustice too with all we do. So, You know, people of different genders and people with different races and people with different experiences live in a different America, right? You know this. So I'm going to tell you a story or two about, some of those differences. Hey now, it's a short list of people I want way up in my hair like that, and last I looked, you weren't on the list. Okay, a man I don't even know has a big handful of my hair and is practically massaging my scalp as he moans appreciatively that my hair is so soft. What fresh hell is this? And he acted like I wasn't even talking to him, so I added, no, really, sir, unhand me before you get hurt. And as he pulled his hands out of my hair, he made that face that mocks my outrage, that I'm not doing anything kind of face that we all learned at age 3, but most of us outgrew by age 8. He said to his friend, whoa, if I don't stop touching her hair, she's gonna slap me. And as I turned back to my conversation, no further words for him, I thought to myself, no, actually I was gonna try to break 3 of your ribs with my left elbow. Now see, I have considered accepting the label. Uptight, hostile, bitch. But really, it's not appropriate. I am really pretty jovial, pretty kind, and I like touching. Is it too much to ask that I know the person touching me? Or that the touch is on a hand or a shoulder, something that offers a modicum of respect to my personhood. What fresh hell is this? I'll tell you, my friends, it's the peculiar hell of the female every day, where we are public people the moment we leave our homes. We're open to comments, staring, critiques of our demeanor, our appearance, our sexuality, and the reviewers can be male or female. We are public people meant to provide entertainment on cue without ever expecting compensation. I mean, generally when somebody feels they can tell me what to do, there has been a negotiation of terms. A fee schedule has been set. The next time a man on the street tells me to smile, oh, you'd be so much prettier with a smile. Couldn't hurt you to smile. I want to say, hey, when I take direction, I get paid. A group of Japanese businessmen followed me once in Southern California because when they asked to take my photograph, I said, no. Oh, but that wasn't good enough for them. All I can figure is that I am more woman in more ways than one than they had ever seen in a tank top and a miniskirt on a hot day, and they just had to entertain their friends with my image when they got home. So they followed me, snapping candids. But see, when I entertain, I charge a fee. And when someone is moaning in spasmodic delight at the softness of my hair, I had damn well better have chosen it. Either because it gets me hot or because the price was right, one or the other. But see, in the female everyday, we are supposed to be free merchandise. What a pretty face. Can I see a smile? And okay, let's talk for just a moment about what gets me hot, shall we? See, I am queer, for goodness sakes, and there are some men who will say that they are just flirting with a woman trying to get to know her because she looks interesting. And you know what? I do think that's harmless enough. But often, these are the same guys who would flip out if a man flirted with them because they looked interesting. They might even say, whoa, I got nothing against gay guys as long as they keep it to themselves. But why doesn't that apply to them? Uptight, hostile, bitch? No, no. But I don't have time or interest in every public interaction initiated. And okay, so I'm a femme-dyke. Perhaps the femme part was confusing to him. Of course, he thought I should be available to his every interaction because I am somehow interesting to him. What fresh hell is this? It's not so fresh, my friends. It's the female every day. And what's most interesting to me is not just that men do this behavior, but that women encourage it. By smirking and tossing our hair in feigned annoyance, by not speaking up when we're uncomfortable, by silently cringing and then leaving our bodies just a little bit at that unwanted contact of a hand on a knee or a stranger's shoulder massage. And further, women seek flattery. We collect compliments and stares as though they are currency. But the only place we can spend them is on the debt of our fractured esteem, forever recreating a socialization where, what a pretty little girl, meant you got love. Smile now, sweetheart, meant forgiveness. And aren't you lovely, meant you had some worth in the world. So folks, here's what I suggest to you. Women, the next time a man you don't know and don't wish to know attempts to engage too much of your time and attention, you could try one of two things. Politely tell him, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'd rather be alone right now," and then practice letting his response be more about him than it is about you. Or you could tell him the price of the interaction he's attempting. Acknowledge the interaction for what it is, a prostitution of your appearance and demeanor for which you should be paid. Say something like, "Oh, hair fondling, no moaning, $20 per minute. Likewise, a snapshot for personal home use only. No, you can't buy me dinner instead. I need cash." But no matter how this interaction goes, return swiftly to the business of your life, your thoughts, your feelings of the wind in your hair and the sun on your shoulders. And guys, here's what I suggest to you. The next time a woman asserts her desire to go back to her business rather than interact with you, take no umbrance. No wrong has been done you, and no outrage is warranted. Practice letting her response be more about her than it is about you. And you could treat all women as lesbians unless informed otherwise. Assume that we are not dressed or behaving for your entertainment or seduction, and therefore your overt commentary is not required. But no matter how these interactions go, return swiftly to the business of your life, your thoughts, who you are, beyond the attention you can extort from attractive others. Oh, come on, folks. It's not really that hard taking responsibility for oneself and one's actions. And if you're ever having a tough day at it, maybe putting on a little smile will help. Thank you.